we can get this on and hold it available for our students later when we get it captioned. And we've got some students jumping in here now, but welcome everybody to our Connect Careers Business Edition with our business professions. I'm Lucy Moran. I am Associate Director of Consulting and Programming in Career Connections. And we have a wonderful panel today, and we're excited to have representatives from all over the country and all across the spectrum of business. And I am just going to start, and I'll let Rubia start. If y'all will just introduce yourselves and what organization you're from, and then we'll jump into the questions. You're muted still, Rubia.
Sorry about that. Hi, everyone.
That's all right.
My name is Rubia Name. I work as an analyst at the trading desk for Roosevelt Management Company. So my company is an investment advising company that focuses on the investments and manages the portfolios of mortgage-related assets.
Thank you, Rubia. Corey, you go next.
Hey everyone, so I'm Corey. I'm a manager at Crow. It's a public accounting firm. Basically, I work in audit, so we get financial statements from all the companies that are required to have an audit, and we just look to make sure that they're not materially misstating anything and not committing fraud.
Generally a good thing, right?
Usually they're pretty good, so.
Wonderful. Stacy?
Good morning. My name is Stacy Wasserman, and I'm an agency manager for Western and Southern Life. And I'm here in Westlake, Texas. And my role is to grow producers to help our clients and to build the brand here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for Western and Southern.
Great. Thank you, Stacy. And Ms. Allison.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Allison Wise, and I am the Deputy Director for the Office of Minority and Women Inclusion at the Securities and Exchange Commission, where we oversee all investment entities and ensuring a safe market for investors. And so although I'm not in the investment field as either an investment manager in banking or an economist in any kind of way, I do have a degree in finance. So I think it's sort of a full circle moment here, working in diversity and inclusion, but at the Securities and Exchange Commission.
That's wonderful. Thank you. As I said before, we're going to go through kind of our list of questions here and kind of round robin it, and then we're going to open it up to questions from our students as they continue to join us here. So first, and we can go in that same order just to keep things simple. Could you start by tell us a little bit about yourself, specifically describe your role in your own words and a little bit about your past experiences and how you got where you are.
Okay, so I work at Roosevelt Management Company, which is an investment advising company and asset management firm that focuses on managing investments and portfolios and servicing mortgage-related assets. So these could include, so we specifically focus on whole loans, mortgage servicing rights, and early buyouts, which are delinquent Ginnie Mae mortgage servicing rights. So specifically about my current role, so I'm an analyst too at the trade desk at the capital markets department. So my entire department is based in New York City, and I'm positioned in the Dallas office. So my role is a lot of number crunching. So I get to run cash flows and investment related analysis for some of the portfolios that we would bid on. So to kind of explain it, banks and other firms will sell pools of mortgage loans or other mortgage related assets like mortgage servicing rights or early buyouts, which is EBOs. It could also be non-qualified mortgages, jumbo loans. There's a whole world of mortgage related assets that is out there. So these banks and other firms will put these out on the secondary market. My job is that whenever these banks and other firms put out these pools of loans, they typically put out what they call it a data tape, which is essentially just an Excel file. And my job is to take that Excel file and all the other data that's provided for this investment of mortgage loans. And I get to run pricing and cash flow analysis and crunch numbers that we have in our model that we have in-house, and present this to my managers, who present this to the investors, they will leverage money and they will buy or sell pools of mortgage loans and mortgage related assets. So that's kind of my role and what I get to do. And so some of my previous experiences I actually have in college and all throughout high school. I never really had any professional mortgage related experience. So it's kind of crazy and interesting that I landed a mortgage job when I knew nothing about mortgages when I started out. All of my past experiences were just like regular jobs. Like I worked in retail a lot. I worked at like Nordstrom and Hollister. I just had normal jobs in high school and college, just to pay rent, pay for college, pay for bills. And then the only other job I had my last couple of years of college, I was a math teacher for an after-school learning program that was similar to Kumon or Sylvan. And I got to work really closely with the manager, and she was an entrepreneur, and she kind of started this business from the ground up. So it was really cool to work with her directly, because I was an entrepreneurship major at the University of North Texas. So it was really nice to work with a really powerful South Asian woman who was running her own business, because I'm also South Asian and a woman. And she was an entrepreneur. So it was really great to get to work with that. So it was interesting. I really didn't have any mortgage experiences. I didn't even know what a mortgage was. All I had ever done was pay rent. So it was interesting to land a mortgage related and be in the mortgage industry, and I love it. So that's my experience and my role.
Yeah, I can go next. So pretty much I'm an auditor. So every business and government's required to issue or if they have a loan, they're usually required to issue financial statements. So pretty much what I do is I go through the financial statements and just make sure, like what they're reporting as cash, that they actually have that cash. What they're reporting as accounts receivable, it's money that they should be collecting. Pretty much have to make sure it's not free from material misstatements. Like every business is going to have some kind of misstatements because we're all human, but we just got to make sure it's not material and that they have controls in place. But that's pretty much what I do day to day. I specialize in governments and construction. So pretty much every industry has their little quirks and they have their own roles. I mainly focus on government and then help out a little bit with the construction side. For my experiences, I actually did a lot of internships before I became an auditor. So like one of my first ones was an internship at the Federal Home Loan Bank of Dallas. Actually, that was like one of the ones that was on the career portal for TWU, and I actually got that internship. Then I had another internship that was with Howard, which is a small tax firm. And one of the partners from there had actually graduated from TWU. So when he recruited in my class with Dr. Baker, I went ahead and applied for that internship and got that. And then same with the internship that led me to Crow is I was nominated from one of my professors to pretty much to be the Becker campus ambassador and talk about CPA prep. And then my boss there ended up recommended me to Crow. But that's how I ended up at Crow.
Well, good morning or good afternoon, should I say. Again, my name's Stacy Wasserman, and I am the agency manager at Western and Southern Life. We are a financial services firm that is based out of Cincinnati, Ohio, and I do have the entire Dallas-Fort Worth area is the territory that I focus on. We are an organization that's been around for 144 years, so we've weathered some ups and downs in the financial markets over those years and are an incredibly strong company. We focus on life insurance, disability coverage, wealth management, retirement planning, anything that an individual or a family would need to help meet their financial goals and to also make sure that their risks are protected on the life insurance side. And we also have all of the solutions necessary for small businesses. I have around 26 years of experience in the industry. And I will tell you, when I figured out that number last night, it was a little surprising to me, but it's the number. But my background has been in investments as an insurance professional, either on the producer side, sales trainer side, or manager, or the consultant side over the 25 years. And it's all been to help people grow wealth, help people make sure their risks are protected, and or train others on how to become a successful producer in order to do that, to help customers within their communities.
All right, I think I'm next. Allison Wise, and as I mentioned before, I'm the Deputy Director of the Office of Minority and Women Inclusion at the Securities and Exchange Commission. And just, we're federal government, so I have a small disclaimer just to say that my remarks reflect solely my personal views and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Securities and Exchange Commission or the individual members of the commission or its staff. So with that being said, what do I do as the Deputy Director for what we call ONWI, short for like a diversity and inclusion office. So our main role is to look at ensuring that we have a diverse workforce that represents our customers and who we serve in terms of the American people. Also ensuring that we have an inclusive workplace, putting those programs in place, and also looking at our supplier diversity and who we do business with, ensuring those things. And you say, okay, well, what does that have to do with business careers? You know, I'm looking to get a career in business. And I think that's kind of the different angle that I bring today, which is sharing my experience in my journey, which was as a college student, I was working in an equal employment opportunity office in the government that did diversity programs. I was actually majoring in finance at the Smith School of Business at the University of Maryland. And for me, it was just a job that I had while I was looking before I graduated. And, you know, my big goal was what I thought to study for my Series 7 exam, be a licensed stockbroker, be an investment banker, work on Wall Street. Those were my goals, because when I thought about, okay, you're good at math, that's good, you know, so I major in finance, and but you know, where are my job offers? You know, where can I get a career and have a great salary and make a good living? But what it ended up being was changing the whole sort of trajectory of my career, was working in an EEO and diversity office, and having a supervisor who really saw talents and skills and abilities in me that I really hadn't seen in myself, which was the ability to really connect with people who are different than me, care about that, leverage that in a way that can really bring about change in the workplace. And I never saw this coming. And so for me, that experience of being open really led me to change the trajectory of my career. And I ultimately ended up staying and making a career out of diversity and inclusion. And ironically, as a woman in finance at that time, many years ago, and my federal career spans over 30 years, there was not a lot of diversity in the field. And that to me was very intimidating. And it ultimately, during the job market, my search in the job market, coming out of college and graduating, wasn't really kind to me. And I let that kind of deter me at the time. I look back, I mean, my journey is my journey, but I think women in finance have a lot to offer. And I look at that now at a lens and things that are changing, and the rules that we are putting out for companies to have diverse boards and all of those things. So I think that my love for finance and my passion for diversity and inclusion have really come together in a way that I think drives both of the things that I really care about and can contribute. And so I think that my past experience really was not necessarily in the field of finance, but you know, now that working at Securities and Exchange Commission, I can look at both with that lens and knowing what it's going to take. And then it's also another part of that is also that we care about enriching our talent pipeline. So I'm also here to kind of reach out to you all, because we're looking for top talent. at the Securities and Exchange Commission. So it's to build a relationship with you all as students, but also to share my journey so that you can stay open-minded in terms of where you go in your career.
And I will take that moment to plug the fact that the Securities and Exchange Commission will be at our virtual career fair next Wednesday from 11 to 2. So go ahead and register for the career fair if you haven't, and log in, and you can start having these conversations. And this leads me to my next question of what experiences, and some of you have touched on this a little bit, but what do you think was for you the most impactful experience, whether it was academic, professional, or extracurricular, that really helped you get that foot in the door and started down your career path?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I really didn't have any mortgage experience or even any type of finance related experience. In fact, when I started school, I was a psych major, and then I switched to business in the middle of my junior year. So it put me back quite a bit. So I would say the biggest thing, or the biggest experience, was really just having a degree in business. And I specifically chose entrepreneurship as my major because it provided the most well-rounded education in business that I wanted. I took accounting classes, I took finance classes, I took economic classes, I took real estate classes. I took a lot of like business management, organizational behavior type of classes. So it provided great, well-rounded education in business. For me. And I also think another experience that really got my foot in the door was just attending those career fairs. I solely got the job that I got is because I attended a career fair, and I gave out my resume, and I emailed the guy, and we set up an interview, and I did the interview, and I got the job. So I highly, highly suggest to all of my friends and to everyone just to attend those career fairs and take advantage of the resources that college provides you. You're paying all this money for college, and use those resources that they provide you and attend those career fairs and get your resume looked at and talk to people and just network. So that's my biggest kind of experience that kind of got my foot in the door, was just attending those career fairs.
Thank you for memorizing that script that I sent you last night. Okay, Corey.
So I kind of already touched on mine. So pretty much mine was building a relationship with my professors, because my professors ended up recommending me to different internships. And they offer, whenever I was applying for the jobs and they asked for referrals, I put my professors as my referrals. And that's really what got me in the door to the job that I'm at now. So I would definitely encourage y'all to build a relationship with your professors, because whenever employers are looking, especially fresh out of college, that's usually where they go first.
So mine was a little bit of both. I think between academic and professional. I don't have a background in finance or on the math side. My background's actually in political science. With a specialization in research. So my first 14 years of my professional career, I was a legal assistant for corporate and securities lawyers in downtown Fort Worth. It's interesting because we've heard a lot about relationships and how that was the catalyst for making a change, and that happened for me as well. I had gone through a divorce. I wanted to make a change. I had been going to working full time and going to school at night to finish my degree, and I finally achieved that goal. And I just didn't feel like that that the trajectory I was on was going to continue to fulfill what I was looking for. My personal agent, the woman who helped me with my insurance and got me to start investing, she always told me she thought I'd be good in the field. And so she really saw something in me and encouraged me to explore that opportunity. So I went to work for her firm. And so I really think it was one, I had 14 years of professional experience. I was used to speaking with executives and high net worth individuals, just based on the job that I was doing. And I think also it was the tenacity of of going to school for 10 years to finish that degree. So I think both of those things really helped me get my foot in the door, but it was clearly a relationship and someone seeing something in me that they thought I would do well in the industry.
Yeah, and just to build on what Corey and Stacy shared, it really was for me sort of life-changing moment when I really had my mindset that I would finance. That was what I felt I was really good at and what I was passionate about. But the one experience was being open to listening to, number one, what my supervisor was kind of sharing with me and what she saw in me, connecting with her in that way. But I also did several informational interviews that I think really helped me to decide where I wanted to go ultimately with my career, because I had just spent a good part of 5 years in college, majoring in finance. And my mother was like, wait a minute, you're not going into finance. And ultimately, I had to ask myself, what do you really care about? What are the things that really drive you and light you up? And now is the time to make those decisions and early on. And so in talking to my supervisor at the time, I was really lucky to have one and be very open-minded to the things that she was sharing with me and the things that she saw in me and I didn't see in myself, and those talent, skills, and abilities. So getting that feedback is really important. Sometimes we have our mindset, but that feedback was really that past experience, which changed the trajectory of my career. And doing a couple informational interviews and really figuring out, is that what I really want to do? I had not, so I really stayed curious about, this is really important time for me to really figure out what I want to do. And so I feel like those are the two things that really helped me to decide where I wanted to go and build a career.
Thank you all. I love everything that you all said, and it reinforces, what we tend to tell students. But take advantage of your resources and build those relationships. I think often students are very intimidated by the word networking, but what it really is just building connections and relationships with people who are already in your life, and then moving from there. So I really appreciate y'all exemplifying those stories for us. So we're going to switch gears a little bit. What are a couple of the key skills, whether they're, technical or hard skills or transferable soft skills, that you have found to be vital in your own work? And how were you able to build upon these skills while you were either in school or early in your career?
Yeah, I think there's a couple skills that I will name. Number one, I think having great project and time management skills is really key, especially in a business type of industry. And I think that will include communicating with your managers about deadlines and which projects are the most important, and just having that open line of communication, because I know specifically in my role, a lot of my job is project-based, and I'll be thrown multiple projects and just given just multiple projects in a week. And I will have to communicate with my managers, which one is the most important. And sometimes I'll be working on projects for different departments, different types of investments. So having kind of open communication with your manager about what are the deliverables is really important to having great project and time management skills. I would also suggest having a planner, just kind of writing down some of the things that are the most important, and just kind of the estimated time you think it will take. So that's very key. I would also say having strong work ethic is also really important. I'm going to say, your first job is not always going to be your dream job. But the only way I think you'll really be able to stand out and get noticed is to stay focused and stay motivated and be proactive about finding things and projects that interest you. What I'm really grateful about my company is that if I say I'm interested in something and I bring it to the attention of my managers, I'm really grateful that they give me the opportunity to work on projects that are things of my interest. So I think really staying focused, staying motivated, and speaking out about things that interest you and what you're curious about, and mentioning that to your managers is also really important. And that kind of shows that you have strong work ethic because that makes you stand out as a worker. And then I also think being adaptable and willing to learn new skills and appearing eager and hungry to learn is also really important, especially in during the times of the pandemic. My entire company switched from being all in person to remote, and being able to adapt to that type of environment is also really important, especially in this industry. So those are some of the skills that I would say are really important.
Yeah, so I totally agree with Rubia. For at least my job, the most important skills are communication and taking notes. It's pretty much, especially entry-level jobs for coming in as an auditor. Pretty much, we expect you all to have a basis knowledge of how to audit, but pretty much we teach everything. So, and you're constantly moving from area to area. So it's not, you don't do one thing, you're constantly changing up what you're working on. So pretty much we need communication back and forth, especially with COVID right now. Everyone's remote. It was so much easier whenever we traveled as a team. If someone was struggling with something, I could see it on their face and know that they were struggling, but now I can't do that. So it's all over IM. So I don't know that someone has a question unless they ask it. Or I'm checking up with them and then I'll find out that they have a question. But pretty much, yeah, communication, asking questions, that's the most important skill, at least for my industry. And then another important skill for us is Excel. Again, we can teach a lot of things on Excel, but if you come in with a strong basis for Excel, everyone loves you. So I would definitely recommend those two.
I have found that the skill that I built on was the ability to build relationships and then foster those relationships, be interested in other people, and find out how you can help them, find out where you can be of service, where you can plug in. I ask lots of questions. I've done project work in the past. I've done consulting work. I helped build a new division at a major insurance company. I'd never built a division. But what was interesting is that because of my network and because of my relationships and the people that I was connected with, I was able to pull in people who, we took a mastermind approach. And by putting all of our brains together, we did an awesome job and came in under budget and put together a really dynamic group of people. And I think the people who gave us the challenge were actually really surprised. I don't think they thought we would be able to do it, and we did. So I would say ask lots of questions. If you are struggling on soft skills and you know someone who's good at that, reach out to them. If you're struggling on hard skills, and again, find someone who's good at the thing that you are missing, and seek assistance. I still do that to this day. I would say the other thing too is build a business plan. Most organizations or most new roles are going to help you put together a development plan. And I think what's really important as you're going into a role, starting a new career, as you go in, one of the things that will really impress a hiring manager or even a recruiter, once you learn more about the role, is to put together a 90-day plan. What are the things that you know how to do to where you feel like you can plug in that first 90 days? You're not going to have enough detail most of the time to be able to be really specific, but there are things that you can do and you can add in that 90-day plan from a standpoint of, getting to know your colleagues, understanding who your business partners are, understanding who your customers are. Again, it goes back to that communication and doing that outreach. That's important. And by coming to the table with that, again, it shows that you're interested and you're really looking to contribute. And I would say the last thing is work your guts out. I'm probably not the smartest person in the drawer, but the thing that the people saw in me and the reason why I was recommended and the reason why I was mentored was because I worked really hard, and they saw that I wanted to contribute, I wanted to grow, and I wanted to help to that bottom line, whether it was a division or a company.
Really good. I'm actually taking notes myself. Thank you, Stacy, on that 90-day plan. That was really good. I might give that advice to some other people. But, and, you know, I would agree with what Rubio mentioned, you know, a strong work ethic. You know, when we're thinking about terms, and I think this is something Stacy alluded to too. But when we're thinking about soft skills, I want you all also to think about that we work in a workplace that has 5 generations in a workplace right now. So the more you have ability to really not just work in teams and communicate well, but work in diverse teams, be able to communicate and relate to people who are different than you. Understanding interpersonal skills, I think what I look at, you know, as a manager too, and what also helped me was the ability to be able to connect with people who are different than me and leverage those skills in a way that it is, oh, they're good at this, or that person has this perspective, and learning and honing those teamwork skills, those interpersonal skills, that emotional intelligence, how you can really connect socially with people who are different than you, because that's what you will be facing in the workplace, are not people who think like you all the time or have experiences as you. Really, really important, I think, as we're talking about coming into the workplace and the skills and the soft skills that they can bring. So yes, communication is really important, but open-mindedness also, really being able to think about it, hone your critical thinking skills and those problem-solving skills. That goes across any profession that you may choose to go into. But if we're talking about hard skills, I would say one of the most important things that I think comes up a lot is presentation skills. Even if you're presenting that 90-day plan, you're saying, here's what I can contribute. Hone your presentation skills. I see many times, whether it's using PowerPoint or whatever, the ability to tell that story in a short and concise way that is interesting and gets people to lean in, which is using some marketing skills too, which is some people don't really think about, like, oh, I probably don't need that. But project management, marketing, and presentation skills in terms of hard skills, no matter what career you go into. But honestly, those are all teachable, I think. When I'm looking at somebody, I think the most important thing and the marketable thing that really will get you a lot further in your career are honing your soft skills.
I'd like to point out that all the skills that you all mentioned are things that students are learning in the classroom. And when they get frustrated with these team projects and, you know, collaborations and such, that's really what these core competencies are designed to do. And the classes are designed in a way not only to learn the content, but to hone these career competencies that time management, project management, presentation, communication skills. So often we see students who think, I haven't really done much of anything. I don't have anything to put on my resume. But when you looked at even just your coursework and what you're doing, you are gaining those skills. So there's a method to the madness. Wonderful. So in your professional career, how have you been able to find support along in your professional journey, whether it's mentors or particular associations or programs? How have you found support in your journey?
I really found my support through mentors. So, I mean, my biggest piece of advice is, wherever you go in your career, find that one person that you could ask any stupid question to. I think that's really valuable, whether it be someone who's in the same position or a manager, but just have that one person that you could just like ping and be like, hey, what was XYZ again? How do I do this? And I think that's really, really valuable, having someone that really cares about your career development. That's really impactful. And so thankfully, I've been at my company for about 2.5, almost 3 years. And so I've gotten really close to some of the, to the CAO, which is the chief admin officer. She's this like super cool lady. And then the chief investment officer, who's also really great and a great mentor. So just finding people that you can ask questions to. And I think the way you can stand out is really just being curious and asking good high level questions, and setting up one-on-one meetings with them, and just being proactive about making them your mentor. I think that's really valuable. But I would also suggest, like I discovered this recently, but finding Facebook groups that are based around things that you're interested in and are specifically meant for professionals. I think that's also really helpful. Like I recently found a South Asian women's only professionals Facebook group. And so it's just nice to have people that are like-minded, and just kind of talk about things that impact you, and find, like I know there's like job postings on there, but just find groups and like Google meetups of just young professional people that are interested in just networking. I think that's also really helpful as well, and a great networking tool.
I'm going to second the mentor. That's how I've gotten this far as I have at Crow. Pretty much whenever you start at least like my job, we're put into different teams, we work with different people, so you really get to connect with people. It was a lot more fun when we could actually travel, because then we get to go out to dinner, and then you find out more like personal lives. So it's not only work. So that was like, it really like built experiences with your team. And that's actually how I found my mentor at Crow. She was like my supervisor for a while. Now she got promoted to manager, and then I pretty much just been following her career path my entire time. So any question that I have, I am her, and she's always more than happy to help me out. And then like, I don't know if a lot of businesses do this, but mine, like they assign you a career coach to help you grow within the firm. So if you have a question that maybe you don't know who to ask, or need to get advice, I have my career coach, and I am her, or set up a meeting with her, and she's always more than happy to help me with anything that I need. If I express an interest in doing something different, she will make it happen. So I would definitely find a mentor.
Yeah, I agree completely with the mentorship. It'll make a huge difference. And I would say stay in touch with the people that have helped you along the journey. If it's someone that was at a previous position, or one of your professors, stay in touch with them. That support is still there. You sometimes just need to tap into it. I recently reached out to the gentleman who taught me full financial planning and investment portfolio building, and we just picked up where we left off. And so I found that to be really beneficial, is just stay in touch with those people who have helped you along the way. In the financial planning, financial services industry, professional designations and certifications are really important. I was very fortunate in one of my previous roles. I worked for an organization that sponsored those to a very high degree. And so it gave me the opportunity, it gave me access and opportunity to get a lot of designations while I was there. And I have found that to be very helpful. One, your customers are going to look you up. Anyone that if you're looking for a new job, or if you're looking, maybe at a new project, people are going to look at, what have you done? What are you working on? So I would say, whatever field you're moving into, find out what the professional designations or certifications are going to be important. And then I would say the other thing is learn what those affinity groups are. And you can visit a few of them, and then when you find one that you like, that you think is a fit, join at least one of them. For financial services, I actually belong to a group called Women in Insurance and Financial Services, and they are strictly built to help foster and support and grow women in our industry. They have helped me build as a leader, usually at times when I didn't want to. So I've got a great group of friends there who've been amazing and really helped me along my journey. And then I would say the other thing too is if you are, Allison was talking about the soft skills earlier. If you're someone who is maybe you're more soft spoken, or maybe you're not, you're not the guy out there leading the charge, and that's a concern. There are also lots of programs through Toastmasters that can really help build that confidence and build that skill set. And then lastly, I would say if you're, one of the first things that I did when I started in this industry, I went to a motivational seminar. My boss said, you need to get with motivational seminars. You're in sales. At one point you're going to feel bad. You're going to feel like, why did you do this? This is hard, and no one wants to talk to me. Depressed salespeople, don't last very long in our business. And so the other thing that they had us do was go to a motivational seminar. And I still have the original tapes from that seminar, 25 years ago. And so I would say just, pick one and just start building those blocks. You can't do all of it at the same time. But I would say, pick one of those and just get started with whatever's going to be most relevant for the particular role that you're in.
Yeah, I think so. When I started my career, no one ever really told me I needed a mentor. It wasn't something that they said, I never attended one of these sessions, and dialed in to really see what were those things that help. I do believe mentorship helps. Did I ever get a formal mentor? No, but I leveraged a lot of people who were in diversity and inclusion around me. And one of the things that I did, because I didn't have that one person that I could go to, I actually started and said I needed to build my own mastermind group. So really created a network called the Federal Interagency Diversity Partnership, which was a partnership that I pulled together diversity and inclusion practitioners from all federal agencies to be a part of, to share best practices, to talk about our concerns, our challenges, and everything, because it didn't exist. I was going into uncharted territory. So sometimes you might be in a situation where you really don't have that go-to, but it is something that you may have to reach out and build yourself and really leverage that network. And that has helped me for the past 20 years. I think a lot of us has stayed really close, because sometimes it's not about like reinventing the wheel and trying to figure it out yourself, but that others may have that, what it takes for you personally and professionally to move ahead. And so, I actually had to kind of get out there and find some colleagues that I could build it together with, a network that could help us all. But I also realized that I had reached a certain point in my career where I knew that to get to the next level, I needed something else, because I knew what I knew to get me to that point, but there were some other things that I needed to hone in order to get to that next sort of director executive level. And that's when I decided to get a coach. And so I'd gotten a professional coach that helped me, not like a mentor. A mentor is kind of like, I've been there, I've done that, I can show you the way. A coach is really to help me tap into what I already have inside and really pull that out, highlight it, help me leverage it in a way that can help me get to the next level. So it was really that coach that helped me to kind of hone my skills in a way that I did not realize it had existed before, but I knew I needed something, and they were able to kind of pull that out of me. So as I got further in my career, I realized that that was really important. Aside from, tapping in and developing a network of my own, it was really important to get some one-on-one that really helped me in an individual level.
Thank you all. That is such great advice across the board. And, it sounds like the common theme is really kind of diving in and getting involved. And and the mentorship is key and important. And I think that's something that we're not taught along the way, and that is something that we kind of fall into, but sometimes it has to be intentional. I know I'm guilty of it. I'm still kind of looking out for a mentor in my field as well, but we have one last question.
I'm sorry, if I could just add, on that same point, and I don't know if anybody else on here, who's tuned in, I'm actually a first generation college student. And so a lot of things, you're not taught, you just don't know, because whether you don't have it in your household or you haven't seen it before, it's really important to get involved in your campus life. And so you don't feel that you have to figure it all out. And that was very frightening to me, because I couldn't talk to my parents. They had never gone to college before. My father immigrated here. And although they were in the workspace and my mother worked in the federal government, they never went to college. So a lot of what you're doing today, like tuning into this and connecting with people, with whether it be your professors or whatever, I'm now teaching that to my daughter, who's in college herself, and really beginning to leverage the things that I didn't do because I just didn't know to do it. And so to shorten that learning curve, sometimes we have to really take our own initiative.
Absolutely. And we at TWU have a very significant population of first gen students, and you don't know what they don't know. And so we hope to open the door by providing these types of events and get involved. And our last question is kind of along those lines before we open it up to some question and answers from our students here is, what advice do you have for students who are looking to get into your particular field? What can they be doing now to start?
I think my biggest piece of advice is be curious and do your research and read articles and get educated and read books and listen to podcasts and just remain interested in the industry. I think the only way to stay current and to stay competitive is to know what's going on in the market. And the only way you can do that is if you know what's going on and you stay current and you read what's going on. So I think my biggest piece of advice is to stay current and listen to those podcasts. I mean, there's a great amount of podcasts. I can't think of any at the top of my head, but there's some great resources out there that you can listen to that just helps you stay current in the market. And that way you can stay competitive. So.
My advice is actually to get internships, because that's how I ended up how I am now. And it really gives you a great experience, because I did 3 different internships, and it really narrowed down that I wanted to do auditing. When I first started, I thought I wanted to do tax. That was my vision of myself, that I was me in my office working on taxes and then just putting them out. But once I actually did a tax internship, I realized that I really didn't like it as much as I thought I would. So then I ended up, I told my company, they were asking, do I want an internship or do I want to apply for full time? And I said, I want an internship because I want to make sure that I actually like what I want to do before I get the full-time job. So I would definitely recommend getting an internship or getting some experience. I mean, obviously everybody wants a paid internship, even if it's not paid or if it's volunteer. That's the suggestion that I have, because it really sets you apart from everyone else if you have some kind of experience, even if it is volunteer.
I would say for the field of financial services, again, read articles about the business, stay current with the markets, do research on the companies that are out there and available. I think the other thing too is just be interested. If you see an opportunity out there, call and ask some questions. I'm always very happy to talk to people and share information about our industry, about what I'm looking for. Our industry, you can come in with no experience. You simply need to be coachable. You need to be a leader. You need to want to work with people, and you need to want to serve your community. And if you've got all of those things, I think we said earlier, we can teach you the rest, but I think it really comes down to being interested and doing your research and asking questions through your connections. So I would say that.
Definitely internships. I really think that they can give you and help focus what you might enjoy, what you like. Like Corey said, she thought she wanted one thing and then she interned and did another. So I think being able to find out what's out there, but doing your research, really finding out where are those opportunities. So for instance, Securities and Exchange Commission hires 600 interns every year. And I don't know if you know that. Today we were actually having an info session on how to find and apply for those business and law students. And so we're looking for top talent to come to the Securities and Exchange Commission. A lot of it, you have to be dialed in. You have to understand the federal government and the process for doing that. So attending the info sessions is really important. And following them through LinkedIn, get a LinkedIn profile, follow these companies. They post all of their internship opportunities. I know I do on my page. I'm always posting information. Now, I mentioned there's a session today that's actually ironically happening right now, but we're also going to have another one in October. So we had one last month, this month, and in October. We have 3 parts to our application process for the spring and the summer. So I think it's getting connected with some of these organizations. And not a lot of people think about careers in the federal service. I knew I didn't. I ended up becoming a career public servant thinking that I was going into private sector. So keeping your options open and also exploring the federal government, looking, yes, sometimes you want to look at those top Fortune 500 companies. Those are great, but there are also small entities that could really use your talent.
Excellent points. Couple of things I want to mention. Allison, you mentioned LinkedIn. If y'all would like to share your LinkedIn profile and our students can maybe connect with you on LinkedIn and or your email. LinkedIn is a powerful tool and something that our students need to leverage. We appreciate that. And we do have a program coming up, I believe it's October 26th, on how to stand out in social media in a good way, and that does include LinkedIn. Internships were mentioned. We do offer a program, the Urban Fellows program, that offers scholarships for students who want internships in traditionally unpaid. So if you're not in a position to take a volunteer or unpaid internship in government or nonprofit, you can apply for our Urban Fellows program that will offer a scholarship towards that. And final note before we get to a question is Allison mentioned info sessions. So employers have totally leveraged this whole virtual world and are doing virtual info sessions across the board. Just log into your Handshake and you can go in and look and search, and they are all over the place. We have hundreds of info sessions from employers that are populated on Handshake. So take advantage of that and learn as much as you can. Our first question in the chat was about HR positions and how to break into HR and, what do they look for in an HR candidate? Allison, I believe you've had experience in HR.
Yeah, and it's different. It varies. I think in the federal government, and actually a degree is not necessarily the thing sometimes for the entry level positions or necessary for the entry level positions within HR. But and in the federal government, it can be very specific to staffing, classification, performance management. But what I've seen the journey to be for HR practitioners, very different from the field that I'm in, because diversity and inclusion is very actually separate from HR, is that it varies from agency to agency. And so in terms of looking at it federal government wide, it depends on it. But what you can really do to get more information about finding and applying for jobs within HR is to go to opm.gov. And opm.gov will give you even tutorials in there about how to apply through USA Jobs, what qualifications are needed for the specific jobs, not just HR, but many of the professions across HR, because USA Jobs, which is our major portal for jobs within the federal government, can be, we've heard from students, a little tricky. And so you need as many tips and tricks as you can to do your federal resume, which is very different from a corporate resume, and those kinds of things. That's what you need to be able to qualify for positions within the federal government and understand how to read a vacancy announcement. All of those things are available through usajobs.gov and opm.gov.
Yes, and also I would add to connect with the Society for Human Resources Management, SHRM, and your local chapters. And I believe we have a student chapter of SHRM on campus. So connect with them. That's a really great way to do some networking in human resources. And don't forget about your faculty. We've got great faculty. Our second question has to do with accounting and getting some more accounting experience from one of our MBA students. Outside of an internship, Corey, what's some other advice?
So for accounting, I mean, obviously I'm going to promote the internship. My company does offers also the internship. So if you're interested in an internship, just hit me up. I'd also, it's not really accounting, but I do recommend like doing taxes. I worked at Jackson Hewitt for a while, so that definitely gave me experience doing taxes. It's hard to do accounting without having an internship or a job, other than maybe volunteering at, I believe when I was at TWU, y'all had someone started like an accounting lab, and we pretty much taught accounting to help the students out with it, because I know that very much helped me. So I'd also recommend that, because that also gives you an understanding of accounting.
Excellent. Okay. Jenna, you have a question.
Well, that was quick. I was like still formulating the question in my head. So, but yes. I was wondering if any of you guys speak Spanish, because my question kind of is going to have to do with that.
No,
I do not.
You guys don't? I was wondering, because I'm minoring in Spanish, and I heard a lot of encouragement of like, that's kind of an emerging thing. Like they're going to be asking people, being bilingual will be helpful for being hired in the workforce. And I wondered if you guys have heard or had experience like of seeing more people get hired if they're bilingual. And also I'm looking to learn like specific business Spanish that can apply to like the things that I go for, whether it's like food product development or something that I like open-mindedly maybe didn't study but want to get a job in. And if there's like any resources you guys have heard for that, just any thoughts.
Jenna, I don't speak Spanish. However, we serve the public. And so we want more people who are diverse and look like the community or can speak to the community. So I think anytime you have an additional language, at least on the financial services side, and I think most any other business, I think it's going to be very attractive. And one, it's going to be helpful for you as you're meeting with whoever your end level customer ends up being. But also it's going to put you in a better competitive position, I would say. So I think it's a good thing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would just piggyback off on of that and just share that in the federal government, absolutely, it can be a commodity to have a second language, especially Spanish. We serve the American public. This is what we do in the federal government as public servants. So whether it be Homeland Security, Social Security Administration, USAID, all of these international agencies, there are ways that can be leveraged in many different fields in the federal government. So just speaking as a whole, it can be a plus.
Thank you. It's good to know.
I'm going to echo that as well. We do see a lot where bilingual is a plus and it's never going to hurt your candidacy at all. Well, and there was a second part of your question. What was that second part?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you guys had heard any. I might go to like LinkedIn Learning because I've seen that, but like business Spanish specifically, or like people that can like accredit you, or any resources you guys have heard of, like specifically business Spanish credentials that I could get.
LinkedIn Learning is a great place to start.
Yeah.
And I would also talk to Dr. William Benner on campus.
He's like one of my favorite people. Oh my gosh, yeah, I'll do that.
Mhm.
I did
We-
have a
Yes.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
So how, for like each one of y'all, like how does your companies work with the local community to like help them with your specific, expertise?
Not sure we're clear on the question, Adriana. What?
I was just like wondering because like I want to go like towards the local community, but I also want to bring like the business aspect to that. So I was just wondering like how each one of y'all could bring y'all's expertise, like financial accounting, to the local community. Does that make it more clear?
You speaking like volunteering in your local community?
More so volunteer, but more so like as a like bringing your company, like the company you work for, into the community.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm in the DFW market, so the financial specialists that work under my branch they're in the community. I've got some that are in Fort Worth, some that are in Dallas, some that are in Arlington. So they are representative. They are representative of the community, and they build their business through introductions and referrals. So they are working through their network, whether it be their social connections at church, or through previous business experiences, or through volunteer or charitable organizations that they happen to be members of. So for us, it all comes down to how is the employer, how's the producer already connected within the community? And that is something that we look at, so that we've got someone that's already connected. Then we train and develop them within the expertise of financial services, and then they're able to share that back, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I would say at the SEC, we have employee affinity groups all across the country. So we have field sites from everywhere from Atlanta to Fort Worth to DC. And those are employee-led affinity groups, engage with the community, engage on diverse issues with their local communities, and they're led by the employees. And the program manager is in my office. So hosting programs, those kinds of things. But also we have a contract with the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities, HACU. And that is, we started a new diversity internship program run out of my office, where we're looking for interns as well. So if you're connected to HACU, you have an opportunity to get placed in a federal agency. SEC is a host agency for HACU. So we brought on board 15 for this, actually 19 for this fall season, placed all across the country, and they are 100% remote. And so they are able to still attend classes for 15 weeks is our internship, and get paid a stipend. So I think that is something else that you can leverage.
I was just going to add, so like my company, in order to connect more with the community, pretty much they'll pay like the membership fees for any of us to go and join the local chamber of commerce. So then we can connect with network with other groups. So they have someone they can ask. Then a lot of people, a lot of like managers and the partners will go and give information sessions on like any new accounting standards. If they have specific knowledge of of an area that also hosts like events talking about that, just to keep everyone informed of what's going on with that.
I know my company has a big emphasis on volunteer work. They give us volunteer hours to go out and volunteer on behalf of the company. So there's a big emphasis on giving back on the community. So right now it's during the pandemic, so we haven't had a lot of opportunities, but prior to the pandemic, there's a lot of opportunities to give back to the community. I know we had some projects where we repainted some people's exterior of their houses, and that was a really great project. But we've had some great opportunities to give back to the community.
Thank you. Lola, you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. Going back to LinkedIn Learning, I was wondering if someone were to, to pay the fee and to do one of the certification programs, do businesses really look at that and say and consider that person certified in, say project management, for example, if they did the project management course and they paid the fee and everything? Do businesses say like, okay, yes, that person is now certified, or is it really worth the money? I guess as students, we don't have a lot of it, so.
I would say that I think you have to weigh. I think you have to weigh the options and depending on how much the investment is. But when as a hiring manager, as I'm looking at resumes, I'm looking for people who have gone above and beyond to develop themselves. So, it may not be a specific certification of, okay, this is absolutely going to, plug right in to the way we do the work at our company. However, I think one, it shows that you're interested in growing, you're interested in developing yourself. And I would say I think sometimes a mistake that once you're employed, that employees can make is depending on the company to develop them. Most companies are going to give you opportunities. But I would say if you see an opportunity out there and you think it's going to help you learn, and it is something you can manage from an investment standpoint, I would go ahead and do it. I think anything like that is going to differentiate you from someone else. We're looking at a lot of resumes, and we're looking for things that help people stand out. And I think anytime that you do the additional work, maybe that others aren't willing to do, that's going to make a difference, at least in my mind.
I was going to second what Stacy said, because I actually did get Microsoft certified in Excel, Word, Access before I applied for my jobs. And that was usually, they always ask questions about that, asking how I was certified. So I would definitely, I don't know, I'm not up to date on like the LinkedIn ones, but I would definitely recommend getting some certifications because it does help you stand out.
Thank you. Allison's got to roll off to another meeting, and I know I want to be cognizant of everybody's time. I'm going to hang out for a minute if there are any other questions, but thank you to all of our panelists. We really appreciate all of your time today and sharing your expertise with our students. We can't thank you enough for sharing your time with us today. Thank you.
Thank you.